tēnā tātou katoa, I whakawāte ia tātou ki te haramai ki te hui nei te ahiahi nei. Te tuatahi mihi atu ki a koutou te poari o Ōtorohanga. Tuarua I mihi atu ki a koe James, I whakawāte ia koe ki te haramai ki te kororo pāne ki te kaupapa I te ahiahi nei. Nō reira, tēnā tātou. I mua tō tātou hui ka inoi tātou ka kariki tātou. Nō reira, tēnā tātou. Pauhihiri, paurarama, pau o te whakaro, pau o te tangata, pau o te aroha, te pau I heria nei I a tātou, mauri tū, mauri ora, haumi e, hui e, tāe ki e. Nō reira, tēnā tātou. Kia ora Ken.
Kia ora. Thank you everybody and welcome everybody. Let's now open the public forum. And James, if you're going to speak, you're muted. Thank you.
Kia ora, James. I'd just like to introduce James. Nō reira, tēnā tātou. James will introduce himself, but I actually invited James during the week through the process of the kaupapa of the Ngā Hoiho. And I thought it would be a good forum now just to invite James and just to give us an update on from the last hui that we had together as a board, and this time I'll hand it over to you. Tēnā koe, James.
Tēnā koe hinga, hinga mihi nui, hinga o te karakia I tēnei aiahi. Ai mihi nui ki o koutou e te whānau o Kāwhia Community Board, pai te ki te koutou I tēnei aiahi. Greetings to you all members of the Kāwhia Community Board, and it's really good to see you all this afternoon. Tēnā koe Hinga, and thank you for the invitation to attend this hui this afternoon. Hinga contacted me shortly after the previous board meeting, and we had a kōrero in relation to the horses and the issue of the horses. So I'm here today to speak on behalf of the Ōkapu whānau in my personal capacity as an individual and spokesperson for the whānau regarding the issues of the horses. Just by way of introduction, whakawhanaungatanga, James Maharo tōku ingoa, huria hau ngō ngā te tewahi Ōkapu marae. So I'm James from out here at Ōkapu, born and bred here, and some of you will know most of my whānau. So for the record, as I mentioned, I'm here in my personal capacity as an individual for the spokesperson of our whānau. But for the record, I'm a current trustee and I'm chairman of the Ōkapu F2 Trust, and I'm also trustee of the Ōkapu Marae Committee. Firstly, can I begin by acknowledging, and in my capacity as chair of the F2 Trust and as trustee of Ōkapu Marae, I'd like to acknowledge the council for erecting the slow down children's warning signs up at our area near the marae, because the marae and the F2 Trust, we had written to council to seek some assistance due to the increase of heavy traffic that's due to the camper vans in our area, and the roads were becoming a lot dangerous with those heavy machinery. So thank you to the council for willing to engage with us, and I'd like to also acknowledge council's willingness and the board's willingness to engage with our whānau in a culturally appropriate manner. And I'd like to acknowledge Hinga for making this happen. And I want to emphasize that the issue of these horses, it can be resolved in a culturally appropriate manner, and our whānau would engage more productively with this being in a culturally appropriate manner. A solution which may assist with the horses is around the education of our whānau in terms of the risks and education around horse care and welfare. And I'd make a recommendation, and can I ask for assistance from council in terms of the animal welfare officer, for example, to come in and provide some education to our whānau on the proper care of horses and how to secure them. This education could then lead to our whānau becoming more compliant on this matter and ways for them to help care for their horses. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. I understand that my time was limited due to the rules and regulations, but I'm happy to take any questions and any pātai that you have. Tēnā tātou katoa.
Right, does anybody have any questions for James?
No, through the chair. No questions from me, James, but welcome, and I know you're working hard to resolve the situation around there for the Aotea community, and we appreciate your efforts, and I'm glad it's gone this way. Inga, thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to acknowledge Hinga for making this happen in a culturally appropriate manner. And I know my whānau, having this kaupapa or this topic dealt with in a culturally appropriate manner, they're more willing to engage with the board and with council, and we're more likely to get solutions out of it in this manner. So I'd just ask that if we can have some assistance maybe from the animal welfare officer to get in touch with us, and then we can schedule something together, maybe put some education, and they can come in and have a kōrero to our whānau.
Is that something they can do, Andrew?
Yes, so we don't actually have an animal welfare officer, but I will get our animal control officer to go out there and definitely give some pointers around managing animals as much as he's able to. Yeah.
That'll be a good idea for them to come in and sit down with us all together at the table and then have that kōrero together. Kanohi ki te kanohi, face to face.
I think he's already made contact with a number of people along the road over the last year or two. So yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's right. Is that Griff?
That's Griff, yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay, yeah, we're familiar with Griff. I know he has spoken to individuals, but I think if we do this as a collective with all the other horse owners, so I understand that my brother's name was brought up, Doug, previously, and he does own a couple of horses out here, but there's also other whānau members out here that do own horses. So I'd like to pull them all in together and then have that education and have that kōrero together around the table.
Yep, no, good idea.
Sounds good.
Ka pai, thank you.
O tēnā tātou. I just want to, kia ora James mo tō kōrero te aihehi nei, very productive. And tēnā tātou. I just want to, I'm happy to, it's great that we're thinking of going with a Māori cultural approach. So I can see this actually working, and I'm happy to take a lead in this and have a kōrero with Griff as well through the council to actually we go to Ōkapu, we go to the people instead of the other way around. This is something that hasn't happened in the past to my knowledge, and I think it's a great approach for us to take, and we will be, it's a great way to move forward, and I totally understand where James is coming from. So that's some approach that I would really support for our board to just to take that approach, and inviting Griff to come out and talk to the whānau out at Ōkapu in the environment that the whānau are comfortable in. And that's a really important, that way we just have to think is that we have to go to the people for our people to understand and just to listen. And then, we work both ways. There'll be feedback from our whānau out at Ōkapu also that Griff can probably learn as well. So it works both ways as well. So I'm happy to lead that if everybody's happy with that. Nō reira, tēnā tātou.
Kia ora, Hinga.
Thank you, Inga.
Kia ora, James. Kit Jeffries, District Councillor for just sitting on the community board as council's rep. Hey, really nice to put a face to the name. So nice to meet you, James. And thanks, Hinga, for all the work you've done there behind the scenes. It's been very fruitful. James, I just wondered, how many horses are we talking about here? And until that meeting with Griff takes place, and we're talking about, I think you raised the issue of animal welfare. What are you suggesting that can be done in the interim to secure the horses, to keep them off the road until that discussion takes place? Because that is the real underlying concern here, is the imminent danger, if you like, to the horses, but also to the motorist. So I hear what you're saying, and I think probably there's possibly two issues here. Obviously, one's the animal welfare one, and the other one is securing the horses. So I just thought I'd ask that question if you had any thoughts on that. Yeah, could you share that? Thanks, mate.
Yeah, kia ora, Kit. Likewise, really good to put a name to the face as well. So I shortly, earlier had a meeting in my capacity as chair for the F2 Trust, or Ōkapi Trust, and we, in that role, the issue of the horses has been brought up constantly in our health and safety monthly board meetings, as well as in my role as marae trustee as well. So, you know, all in all, in this area, everybody is aware of the horses just as much as the community and the issue that they face. And you're right, Kit, you know, the issue of the horses, there is a health and safety issue there in regards to the road users, the issue that it could create in terms of accidents. My suggestion would be is if, in the meantime, before we have the GRIF come in and do that education, is that, and I don't know if this has been done before, but if council is able to send out some type of information letter or something to say, you know, these are the consequences of what may happen if the horses are left on the road. Do you know what I mean? Like something in general terms. I don't know if you have some type of brochure or flyer or a letter that can be given from council to the horse owners. In terms of the number of horses, we're talking at Ōkapu here directly, we're talking probably roughly 6 to 8 horses, and that's owned by 5, 6 individuals. And then we've also got the horses over the other side, over at the Tuopikis, and they have those issues. So I think in terms of moving forward until we get that education set up, is that if council is able to send some type of documentation or flyers or information that either to the owners directly or to myself that I can distribute amongst our whānau, at least they can see the information to say, hey, look, this is the consequences of what may happen, and these are the rules and regulations under law, blah, 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 about how you're meant to tie your horses or look after your horses.
Yeah, I think that's a very good suggestion, James, and I probably defer now to Andrew. Andrew, is it possible to produce something that you can send out to James and he can distribute from there, just a one-pager, or what do you think?
We have a stock on roads pamphlet. I think it's on our website, but do you want paper copies or you just want me to email it to you?
Yeah, paper copies would be great, thanks, because not everyone out here has access to internet at Ōkapu, so if you can do paper copies directly to myself.
And the message is pretty simple. If you own the animal, you're responsible for keeping it off the road. And if it causes an accident, the owner of the animal is liable for prosecution. So probably it's pretty blunt, but that's...
I think that's a good start. Then at least once we get that to the whānau, then at least they can see, hey, look, these are the rules and regulations. It's not coming from somebody.
And it's not just horses, it's sheep, cattle, pigs, any farm animals, same rules. Yeah.
Totally.
And I think probably the important point to remember is that in the case of an accident, for example, you're not dealing with the council. You're possibly dealing with an insurance company who's looking for reimbursement for the costs involved.
Yeah, no, you're dead right, Ken. The council wouldn't be taking a prosecution against the stock owners. It'd be the police or the insurance companies chasing loss. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. I understand that the council's got a regulatory part to play in terms of making sure it's safe for road users around the area. Yep, that's cool. Really appreciate that assistance, because then that means that we can, start to educate our whānau in terms of that. And our whānau are aware and they acknowledge the issues that the horses create. And, because of the interest and once it goes on social media, they don't like that attention, but that's just the way that the world operates now with social media. So the whānau want to put a solution in place and, work with council. So because we all live all in the same area, so we want to make it a happy life.
Yeah, sounds good. That social media thing, that's one of, I don't know. There's some really bad things go on that social media sometimes, and there's so much misinformation and uninformed comment that I've almost divorced myself from it now. but you're quite right, James, that, you know, that people, I can understand people getting offended by some of the comments that are made, and those comments are being made by people who don't know any better. So, but anyway, if Andrew can send that stuff out to you, and you do your bit at that end, and then have the meeting with Griff, hopefully that will resolve the issue to everyone's satisfaction. So good on you for doing that. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you, Kit. And I really appreciate Hinga reaching out and making this happen in a culturally appropriate manner. Thanks, Hinga.
Hi,
Really appreciate that.
through you, Mr. Chair. I will email you, Andrew, and CC James into the email so we can get a postal delivery address for the material to be sent out. And yes, we're all about solutions, and I feel that we're moving forward, which is great. And James, you are a valuable for the whānau and to us, because I've known you for a long time, and your way of thinking is solution focused, and that's a great asset for us to be working with. So tēnei te mihi ki a koe, James.
Kia ora, Hinga. Kia ora.
Thank you, James.
Ka pai. Am I free to depart?
Yes, thank you
Got
very
the blessing
much,
to
James.
depart. Thank you, team. Really appreciate it, and all the best for the rest of your meeting. Ka kite.
Ka kite.
Okay, well, there's no one else in the public forum, so we may as well declare the meeting open. Apologies. We have one from our chairman, of course, and that must be the only one.
I've got one from Tanya Winter. She's
Oh,
unable
Tanya.
to. Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
Would somebody like to move those apologies be accepted?
Yeah, I'll move.
Thank you, Hinga. Seconder.
I'll second.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, next on the agenda is late items. Are there any late items? I've got no notice of any. Fine, let's move on. Confirmation of the order of the meeting.
Ken, just to hold you up, it's we've got Kawhia King, our new governance manager, and she's very strict on protocol. So
yes,
you'll see in the agenda she's made a recommendation that you actually make a motion that there's no late items, and you confirm the rest of the order of the meeting. So sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember when we first started these meetings, our decision was that we would adopt the more informal process, and that, you know, that's 3 years ago, roughly 2.5 years ago. We voted for informality.
Indeed, we did. Yeah, fair enough. Good call.
So are we being moved off this?
Just like I say, we've got a much more professional governance manager in charge of things now, and that's just her recommendation, shall we say?
Okay.
It is a recommendation. However, quite a few meetings they don't. They just skip that bit, and that's fine. We'll just go with it.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
you know, I do feel that we felt that we didn't need too much formality when we were first elected, and I don't think our feelings have changed in that time.
Fair enough.
I mean, you know, we can certainly cover the items and note that there are no late items, and we have no desire to change the order of the meeting.
It's more important if we have to change the order. That's when it becomes valuable. If there's no changes, it's fine.
Yeah, that's right. We're not going to change it, so therefore I think we can just move on.
Yep. Cool.
To conflicts of interest. Any conflicts of interest? Okay, then you've all received the minutes, I presume, and had a chance to read them. Would somebody like to move, unless they disagree, of course, that they be confirmed?
I'll move.
Thanks, Jeff.
I can
Thanks,
second.
Inga seconded, thank you. All those in favour? Aye. That's the minutes confirmed. Chairman's verbal report. Well, as I'm chairman today, just an item of interest, the childcare, what do they call it? The Early Childhood Education Centre closed late last year. And the purpose of the closure really was to get their house in order. A lot of their documentation was out of date. So they spent the period from their closure getting all their documentation and other requirements up to standard, and they reopen on Monday with, I understand, 4 to 6 children already booked in. So that's a great thing for the community. And the other point I've noticed, I've been out and about a bit now since I've got over my health issues. And what I had noticed is that the activity in the town seems to be at a fairly low level, apart from day trippers coming in for fishing. I think even the weekenders are not as heavily in town as they have been in the past, and certainly places like the sports club, the boat club, the Rusty Snapper, the pub are all operating at a much lower level of activity than normal. So we're still having some impacts from COVID. The pub had to close for a couple of days because of COVID, and you know, we're getting reports. Well, I'm hearing reports quite frequently of people having to isolate. So we're still a long way from normal, I feel. And that's really about all I've got in my report, I suppose.
I'll move your report be received, Ken.
Thank you. I was just about to ask that. Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Inga. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Right, the next item on the agenda is the Kawhia picture frame. I think that's in your court, isn't it, Inga?
Andrew will give our report. Kia ora, Andrew.
Yeah, good afternoon. So members will remember sometime last year when the idea of a picture frame was floated, and everyone was fairly supportive. It just really remained for me to track down a suitable design, which I did a copycat from Ōtorohanga, which you'll see in Appendix 2. And having done that, I met with Hinga, I think a fortnight ago or a week ago. Yeah, it was a fortnight ago now, and we selected 3 sites on the reserve, and they are all detailed on the map, and there's a brief discussion about each site, and the preferred option, obviously, site 1, that's why it's number 1, and the rest I will happy to take questions or leave the matter open for discussion. Thank you.
Well, anybody wish to raise anything?
Through you, Mr. Chair. I'm really excited about this kaupapa with the picture frame. I look at this kaupapa as like a hiki wairua to pick everybody up within our community. But before I give a bit more kōrero, I've been working with also with Andrew, but also with Nadia. And I just want to say welcome to Nadia, because she joined in our last community board hui, and yeah, we didn't actually introduce ourselves also, who we are and who Nadia is. But even though Nadia and I have been emailing, and we did have an opportunity to meet, but I just want to say, Nadia, welcome, even though it's a bit late. to our Kāwhia Community Board hui. I think this will be your second one that you've attended. Yeah, so our third one. So yeah, it's a pity that I think also for future, if there's any newbies, staff members that do join, it's important for us just to have a bit of whakawhanaungatanga, and that means that we introduce ourselves, where we're from, and who we are, and then we hand it back over to our new staff that we're working with. So yeah, I just think it's really important because it's because we are working together a lot, and so this is a kaupapa that I'm working with Andrew / Nadia for the future for the photo frame. But I just want to say that I'm really excited, and I do really support the number one position on the map. And why is because it's a huge area, and there's scope for people to stand in front and at the back. There's nothing, it's quite open. And also with the view that we get going out to the harbour, it's spot on. We get the mountains on the other side of the harbour. We also get the boats. We get the beautiful moana. We can also get when the tide's out, you get the mud flats. But it's just a beautiful a position for a photo frame. So I think that's all I just want to say. But just kia ora to Andrew for coming out and meeting, and kia ora to Nadia for the future that we're going to be putting up the actual frame, the graphics together as well. So kia ora. I've got ideas, so we'll talk. Nō reira, tēnā tātou.
Fine, thank you. Is there any other discussion on the recommendation?
I think it's a great initiative, Mr. Chairman, and I congratulate Hinga on promoting that. There was one other suggestion that was made to me, and that was that let's not limit ourselves to one. The suggestion was made that perhaps the lookout as you're coming down State Highway and you look across to the harbour might be another site that we could look at some stage in the future. But let's get this one off the ground first. But so that was just a suggestion. I think it would look rather nice actually with the harbour in the background. So, but I certainly support what the recommendation is today. Thanks.
I presume there might be added complications with the lookout site because it's outside our control. Is that not right, Andrew?
Is it on the state highway?
Well, it's on the. I presume it's on State Highway Road Reserve.
Yeah,
it's just off the road. However, if we get to that point, we can worry about it then.
True.
Okay, would somebody like to move the adoption of this report?
Well, I would like to move adopting this proposal.
Yeah, there's a decision required here, Andrew. Is that if we adopt the recommendation, we're making that decision, are we?
That's correct. Yeah.
Thank you. So you're recommending the adoption of you're moving the adoption of the recommendation, are you, Inga?
Yes.
Thank you. Did we have a seconder?
We have a seconder.
Thank you, Jeff. Those in favour?
All right.
Carried.
Well done, Hinga.
It's very good, and my sister used to live in Whitianga, and I was going there a lot to see her, and their picture frame gets quite a lot of use, and it does nicely promote the town. Okay, next item on the agenda, building control activity report.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll speak to this. I'll just take it as read. Phil's just highlighted activity in the building space, staff training, work going on at the prison. You'll note that year on year there's been a bit of a drop off in Building consent activity, Phil was queried on this at the council meeting this week. And he commented that there's a number of factors contributing to that. Obviously, the supply issues that are getting a lot of press recently, and labour shortages, and perhaps a bit of a perception of just finance is more difficult to obtain. So, but still large numbers of consents and a lot of value of building work, regardless of a slight dip in numbers on last year. I'm happy to take any questions on that.
Well, if there's no questions.
Andrew, would you just like to comment on the staff competency thing? I think that's a feather in your cap, or Phil's cap.
So there's only 2 roles in council, in district councils, that are required by law. One of them is building control officers have to have 2 roles that have to have statutory qualifications. So one of them is the building control officer, and the other is the environmental health officer. So these guys have got, so there's 2 aspects to that. One is the qualification from a tertiary institute, and then the other factor is that once they are working as building control officers, they then have to be graded for the type of buildings that they can work on. So a normal house is residential 1, and a multi-storey apartment block is residential 3. So that gives you an idea of the scope. And likewise, commercial 1 is your farm sheds and small warehouses, right up to commercial 3, which is the complex buildings like we're seeing out at the prison or high rise. So our guys are graded, I think, still a couple to get 3s, but we're just about all 3s. So very, like on a national basis, that's quite unusual to see a building control team with such a high level of competency across the board. Sorry if that was confusing, but it's not a quick explanation.
No, that was
No,
fine.
I think you need to be congratulated, Andrew, for achieving that. So, and I understand that we've actually got, from time to time, we're able to actually assist other authorities who are sort of struggling to fill the gaps as well. So,
yeah, that's right. And I mean, it's an organisational credit. You know, those guys have been given time off work and financial support from the council to get those qualifications. So it doesn't happen in isolation.
Andrew, as an aside, the discussion that council had on earthquake buildings and so on, is it appropriate to talk about that here, or is that going to be subject to another?
Well, I'd probably prefer that we get the opportunity to canvass the building owners before we probably put too much more out there. I know what you're leading to with this, but yeah.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just that, well, just as long as the community board is aware that council is looking at buildings in the district that may need earthquake proofing. So that's,
yeah, and the majority, if not all of them, will be located in the main street of Ōtorohanga, which is not surprising given the age of some of those buildings. Yeah.
No, that's good. Thanks.
Fine. Would somebody like to move that this report be received?
I'll move.
Thank you, Inga, and I see Jeff was seconding it. Thank you very much. Those in favour? Against? Nobody carried. I'm getting this right now. The next item we have is the district library report, and this is for information only, once again.
Mr. Chair, we've got Heather's online here to speak to her report.
Oh, thank you, Heather.
Yes. Kia ora, community board members, nearly called you councillors. Oh, some are. Thanks for listening in on me today from sunny library. Yeah, it's a bit of a light report this time around, but I suppose the real things of note are that one of my team members here in Ōtorohanga Library, Fiona Cowan, has just recently completed her Level 5 Library and Information Studies diploma. She's been working on that since late 2018. So a real credit to her to get that completed. Sorry, my mouse is playing silly beggars on me. Here we go. Since I can't scroll down and see what I'm about to talk to you about. Probably the big thing from a Kawhia point of view is, as you know, we're in the middle of this, or just about at the end of the school holidays. And because we started our planning for school holidays not knowing where we'd be as far as COVID protection framework went, what we chose to do was to put holiday packs together. And so they were available out at both the Kawhia Library and here at Ōtorohanga. And they've been really popular. I haven't actually caught up with Linda to see how many she's given out, but they were certainly available from the library there. So, and they've been really popular. And I think I spoke to you last time about the fact that we were doing an inventory of the book stock, and we've actually now completed both libraries. And across both libraries, we found only 134 books missing. Which is really great, and some of those won't actually be missing. They'll still be tracked down in some weird place. And probably the most interesting thing there was the amount of books we found on the shelves that were potentially deaccessioned books that had made their way back onto the shelves again. So we were able to make that decision as to, you know, do we remove it off the shelves now or actually get it back on the catalogue so that people know we've got it. So that's tidied all of that up. If you're in Ōtorohanga over the next little while, please come in and check out the lovely new shelving there. You'll see the lovely picture. We had closed for a day, replaced all the static shelving with mobile shelving, and that's allowing us to have a little bit of flexibility of layout around the programs that we're introducing there. But we had a fabulous cake done by Marion Fleming from the council, and so we had a bit of a celebration. Couldn't really have a grand reopening with COVID, so we had a come in for cake and check out the new layout. And then, yeah, I'm just sort of glancing through, going probably the real thing of note, and thanks Kit for raising this at the council meeting the other day, is it's really great to see the use of the Wi-Fi out at Kāwhia Library. You'll see in the graphs at the bottom of my report that the Kawhia Library actually has the best use of Wi-Fi of the two towns. So it's well and above our usage here at Ōtorohanga. Really shows up on the graph. Our other statistics at the moment are quite down, and that's really around the lockdowns and reduced hours that we've had for so many months. But you'll see there that the audiobooks, ebooks and e-film have actually risen. So it's really great to see people have taken that opportunity while we were closed to use our digital offerings. And yeah, any questions?
Just one quick one through you, Mr. Chairman. Heather, very good report. Thank you for that. Hey, how often do the book stocks at the Kāwhia Library get turned over or refreshed?
Refresh. We actually send a new loan out there every 6 months.
Every six months?
6 months, yep. So that's a fresh loan. And then throughout the year, as I'm doing deselection from the stock here at Ōtorohanga, what I do is I assess it. And if it's very old, I take it out of the collection altogether. But if it's still quite new and got some life left in it, or it's a relevant topic, then I actually permanently put it out at Kāwhia and then pull some of their very old stock out. So it's actually more than twice a year, but 2 big loans twice a year.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. If there's no further questions, would somebody like to move that we receive this report?
Yeah, I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
I guess I must have moved it then. That's fine. All those in favour? Contrary? Passed. Carried. Yeah, oh, sorry, I just need to go back to the agenda itself. I've been scrolling down and looking at the reports.
We're up to the board member updates.
Yes, I thought that's what it was. Thank you. Board member, now, okay, I've given a chairman's update. I think maybe I'll give a deputy chairman's update because there's something I forgot at that time. So I'll go first with the deputy chairman's update. I neglected to mention that, of course, we had Anzac Day here on the 25th which I attended and was fairly well involved with. And perhaps you've heard by now, Andrew, that the road closure wasn't done professionally. So I did tell Max, and he said he'd bring it up at the meeting, but I just want to make sure the council doesn't get billed for the road closure because we had to do it ourselves. However, the event went very successfully. There was a good crowd were at the event, and a good crowd went up to the sports club after the event. And of course, luckily the weather held out for us, and it was a very successful day. Okay, now the audio appearing on my screen, that would make you next, Jeff. You're muted.
There we go.
That's better.
That's better. I don't want you to hear the waves crashing in the background and the motorbikes that are just visited the little potty that I'm staying at. The big thing that's happened though since our last meeting was the Ōtorohanga District Council installed all our child warning signs and the very nice sign welcoming everyone to Aotea Village and asking them to please slow down. And we've got a nice traffic calming measure installed just before the playground now, and a lot of positive comments from the residents out here. And there are some they've figured out a way to avoid it with their boats, but we'll soon sort that out with some well placed rocks and logs and things like that. I attended the Kawhia Anzac Day service, and credit to you, Kit and Teresa, for the way that's run. That's just getting better each year, and I agree with your comments in the King Country News about a big increase in wreaths that are going there, and I no doubt would formally pass on our thanks to the sports club and Teresa for the one that was the best after Anzac service spread that I've seen put on there. It was great to see. Then we followed that up with our Aotea sunset service that we have at 5:30. That to help the sunset go down. Kit, thank you very much for attending that. That's growing legs, and that's its fourth year, and it started off as a half a dozen of us having a rum and a fire down at the heads, watching the sun go down. In the second year, we did the same thing, but then we started to realise that the changing tides would limit our ability to get out to the head. So last year we moved it to the little park, and we had 50 odd names that were associated with the village, and this year that increased to 63 crosses that are out there, and they all have a connection to Aotea and Kāwhia. So Kāwhia connections are welcome to our little thing. It's very, very informal. There's not a lot of greater agenda going on there, Kid, is there? It's just a general chat about how things are, and it's can be quite an emotional little moment. I always tend to get cut up on the damn thing. We had our community board meeting, the Aotea community meeting. Sorry, Aotea, not the board meeting. The Aotea residents ratepayers meeting on Easter Monday. Had a good attendance. I think about 30 or 40 people turned up for that one. Thank you again, Kit, for turning up to that to be available to answer some questions. We always have good positive meetings with the Aotea Ratepayers and Residents Association. So they get their answers fast and succinctly from most people. So it went great. Unfortunately, it was the timing was out for representation from Okapi Marae being a holiday, but it was good to see James here today, and it sounds like that's heading in the right direction, certainly. So yeah, all appreciation for all the efforts going on in that. That's about all from us out here at Aotea. We just plod along, beautiful weather. I might take up your idea though, Hinga, with that portrait, that picture frame.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay, Hinga, up to you now.
Oh, tēnā tātou. Hinga's actually in Rotorua. Hinga took a couple of days of work and just needed a bit of a break. It's been a full-on couple of months, really. with the tribe, working for Waikato Tainui. There's been a few tribal events. Last week we had Rangiriri. So I was out there all week last week helping out with that. So you're just over here in Rotorua. We went up, Lord and I went up to the gondolas this morning and had breakfast up the top there. It's such a beautiful spot. And it's great to see the tourism really busy here. There's a few places that shut down because of COVID. The Rainbow Springs is not open anymore, which was a shared with Kaitahu, which is a shame to see. But the gondolas, they've got the zip lining, they've got the lounge happening, they've got the cycles and everything happening. But it's just a beautiful day here. And then I said to Lloyd, oh, we have to go back to the motel. I've got a hui to go to. So how dedicated is Hinga? But anyway, I knew there was a couple of kaupapa that I really needed to be online for, and one was with James, and I really appreciate. So I've been talking a lot with the Ōkapu whānau with James, and as I said, I've known James for a long time, since he was a young boy really, and he's grown into a young man who's really solution and a real positive thinker. So and I can see with this with the issue with the horses, we can move forward, and it's a start, and it's a positive start that we've come to. So I just thank everybody here for having, you know, just to be open arms and everything, and just to think, you know, like there's different ways that we can approach to get solutions. So I appreciate that from all of you. So that's one kaupapa I've been working on, and of course the picture frame, which I'm really excited about. You go for it, Jeff.
Our harbour was as good as your harbour.
Yeah, I know. My girls actually go to Aotea more than Kāwhia Harbour to swim, I must tell you that. Yeah, so also I've just been working with some of the whānau within the community, just supporting them in whatever way they may need. There's still whānau out there, there's still, you know, on a personal level, they may still need a hand with some kai or anything like that. So I'm wearing my hat with the Kaiwi Māori Women's Welfare League branch. We do support some of our whānau here in Kāwhia as well, and also with school fees, sports equipment and kākui that they may need. But otherwise, yeah, no, that's all my update, Mr. Chair. And just lovely to see everybody on this sun shining Friday afternoon. Whose idea is this to meet every Friday afternoon? I don't know. Anyway, kia ora.
Thank you, Hannah. Kit, would you like to add anything?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman, and thank you everybody for your words on the Anzac Day. Yeah, that was two very, very good parades. And Jeff, I just wanted to acknowledge the work that the Aotea Ratepayers Association do out there. They're a great bunch, and they just get on and do things. And I think the fact that this year they had a number of those crosses with photographs on them, and you were encouraging others to perhaps add their photos to those crosses next year, is going to make it even more poignant, if you like, for those involved. So no, well done. There was an issue that was raised at council the other day, and Andrew may have some more information on this, but it was to do with Papa Ōkariwa and the fact that the brace that's currently there holding that limb up, there has been some work done. There's been an engineering report provided to the council, and I don't know whether you've received that yet, Hinga, but the cost to provide that new brace, which is going to be in galvanised steel, has risen from around $20,000 up to about $45,000, which is quite extraordinary. So the question was raised by myself, to be honest, whether Waikato Tainui would be interested in contributing something towards that cost. It's a tree of significance not only to the people here, but obviously to Waikato Tainui everywhere. So perhaps there's an opportunity there to pursue that, and Hinga has been left to hold that hot potato and see what you can do with it. I'm just interested, Andrew, would you know progress on the platform, the raised platform at the intersection here at Jervois Street? I know that we've approved to have it done, but is there any idea when it's likely to happen?
Andrew.
They haven't heard. Okay. I did mention previously that there was that sign on the side of the State Highway 39, I think it is, as you approach the intersection, Nutanui intersection coming from Ōtorohanga. There's a Kāwhia sign there, and it's just about faded right out. You can hardly read it now, and it's been there for I don't know how long. And there was a suggestion that a locally born artist might be interested in doing something to come up with some ideas as to how we could refresh that sign. He's indicated that he's probably not that interested anymore. So again, Hinga has got herself involved with that one, and I think that there's a bit of behind the scenes work going on there, Hinga, that you might like to comment on in a minute, just to see what can be done about that sign, and whether or not it's an opportunity to have something similar put at the intersection of State Highway 31, 39 as you're coming from Ōtorohanga to the turn off to Kāwhia, whether something similar could be put there to catch the northbound traffic. Anyway, I noticed you guys might have noticed, Ken and Hinga, that there are guys around town at the moment putting in the water meters. I don't know whether you've noticed that. Yes. They were up Rosamond Terrace this morning, and those water meters are going in. They're doing around about 300 of those, and they're that contract is underway now. Just want to make it clear in case anyone does ask, those water meters are being put in to try and identify where the leaks in the systems are. As you're aware, we're currently losing around 30 to 40% of all the water that's produced here is being lost, and it's a cost to the community that we don't need, and we're trying to identify where those losses are. So the water meters are intended to try and identify that. It's not a precursor to everyone going onto a water meter. Okay, so I just want to make that point. The water testing of the harbour as part of the wastewater investigation has been carried out, and I understand that there's the report is due, or it might even be received, but we're just awaiting the results of that. And ongoing testing of the water itself is taking place, and we should have the results of that perhaps later in the year. So since last month, we've completed John Thompson, the museum director. I've given him a hand to complete some interviews with some of our local identities. Just for your information, we've talked with Bob Blackwood, we've talked with Bessie Porima, Patsy Scott, Tom Mookie, and Jack Cunningham, and we've asked the development board if they've got any more money to assist with that program. There's probably 2 or 3 others that we'd like to include, but those interviews have all come up really, really well and really interesting stuff, and will be available at the museum. And I understand Timo, who's the photographer, is talking about possibly doing something on YouTube as well. So just watch this space. Just wanted to compliment Ellie Freestone for the work that she's doing through the Employment Hub at Ōtorohanga. I understand though that she's no longer coming out here on a Tuesday. I guess that's because there's not the demand out here at the moment, but they've put in, well, her report stated 55 new jobs, and they're all permanent employees. So it's a great result for the community, and for Ellie too. She's doing a great job. So that's about it from me, Mr. Chairman. Just an update there, and I went to the Kai Festival meeting on the 12th of April, and at this stage the festival is being they're talking about going ahead with it next year, which is good news. So looking at Waitangi weekend in February 2023, And so things are underway there for that. And that's about it from me at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you, good. Anybody, anything else they wish to raise? In that case, Hinga, could I get you to close the meeting with the karakia? And it'll be 2 o'clock close time.
Kapai. O tīnā tātou katoa, tēnei te mihi ki a tātou I whakawāti koutou. I just want to say thank you to everybody for taking time out on your beautiful Friday afternoon, wherever you may be, wherever you may be in this beautiful world. Whether it's been beside the moana in Aotea, or the moana in Kāwhia moana, or in Ōtorohanga, wherever you may be. Have a fabulous evening and a fabulous weekend. And we started with karakia and we'll close with karakia. Nō reira, tēnā tātou. Mana hu te tapu o matua te kore, mana hu te tapu o matua te pō. Mana hu te tapu o matua te ao, mana hu te tapu o matua te hawa. Mana hu te tapu o matua te iki e, ti hei mauri ora. Nō reira, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thank you.
Kia ora.
Thank you all.
Thank you.